this. What is the first thing we need to know about life insurance?
I think the best way to start is what is it and who should have it. So what is life insurance? Life insurance is designed to provide financial protection to your family or loved ones if something happens to you. So it provides a death benefit that's paid tax-free, and it can really be used for anything. I think people often think of paying for final expenses like a funeral. It can also be used to pay off any debts you might have. But I think the thing people forget is income replacement. So if something happened to you, both short-term and long-term, life insurance can cover at least partially that income that isn't then lost.
And life insurance is something that can be offered through your employer sometimes, but often I've heard my millennial friends saying, oh, I don't need it.
Right, that's a really good point, and I think that's very common. So who should consider life insurance? Everyone should consider it. Certainly if you have a family and loved ones that you're providing for. If you own any assets, a car or home, also those debts could be paid with life insurance. But to your point, for millennials, if you have student loan debt, especially if your parents have co-signed, life insurance can cover that debt so your parents aren't left with that.
And we know open enrollment is right around the corner.
Yes, it is.
What should people know?
Yeah, this is a really good time of year to be having this conversation because employers' open enrollment periods are typically October and November. And what's interesting is more Americans today buy life insurance through their employer than have individual coverage for the first time ever. Securian Financial is one of the largest writers of group life through employers, so we know from that experience that there's 3 reasons that people tend to enroll through their employer. Easy access, you can enroll through your benefits package. You can pay premiums through payroll deduction rather than having to remember to write a check every month. And there's typically some amount of coverage that's guaranteed, meaning you can't be denied because of a health concern. The second point is group rates. They're typically very affordable.
Yeah.
And lastly, your employer has vetted the insurance carrier, so you don't have to.
They've done all the hard work for us.
That's
We're
right.
getting ready to enroll. What should we consider when buying life insurance?
Right. I think the thing people think of right away is how much life insurance do I need? And that can be tricky, and I think it's important to continuously evaluate what your needs are. Perhaps you have just had a child and you'd want to increase coverage, or if you're nearing retirement, you might need less insurance and you might want to back down the amount you have. So there's life insurance calculators. We have one at Securian.com where you can plug in basic information and it will recommend a coverage amount that would be appropriate.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much for being here with us. If you'd like more information about the benefits of life insurance, head over to KARE11.com. We will post this segment as well as a link to Securian's website on our 11 a.m. show page.